Hey everyone, AMD is scheduled to report fiscal year 2024 second quarter financial results after the markets close on Tuesday, July 30th. So investors are curious what to expect from AMD when it announces financial results. I'll preview and let you know what you should be looking for in the big picture items to keep an eye out for from AMD. Also, I'll let you know if I think you should buy AMD stock before the company announces earnings or wait until after it announces earnings to make the purchase. So let's take a look at the details because there's a lot to cover.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, so the big picture item to keep an eye out for from AMD is its position as it relates to the growth of data centers and artificial intelligence. The company's management team saying that they delivered strong first quarter results with data center and client segments each growing more than 80% year over year, driven by the ramp of their MI300 AI accelerator shipments and the adoption of their Ryzen and EPYC processors. Now, the MI300 AI accelerator is a new product, and management has boasted that it's been the most successful product launch in the company's history. Although they are still way behind NVIDIA in terms of market share in the AI data center for AI accelerator chips, they do provide a viable option for customers looking for something outside of NVIDIA, for something other than NVIDIA, because NVIDIA now has an over 80% market share. That massive market share is dangerous for customers because customers have to pay NVIDIA pretty much whatever it asks in terms of price because there's very little alternative option. AMD is trying to be that other option, to give customers some choice, to give customers another option instead of NVIDIA. But where AMD falls short is all the other things along with the AI accelerator chip. It's not just the chip that makes NVIDIA so successful, it's the software and other services along with the chip that NVIDIA provides that makes it so attractive for companies building out these AI data centers. What I want to see from AMD and what investors should look for from AMD is the success of this MI300 AI chip when the company announces quarterly earnings results. And you want to see a massive growth in this number. You want to see continued numbers like 80% or something more for AMD because the market for this is growing so quickly. You want to see AMD capitalizing on that opportunity. Moving forward, they said they're well positioned to continue driving revenue growth and margin improvement while investing in the large AI opportunities ahead. And AMD has a sort of two-sided business going on right now. They've got one side of the business, the AI accelerator part, the data center and client segments that are growing rapidly. And then they've got another side of the business that's still trying to recover from the cyclical downturn. And so those two offsetting forces are slowing overall growth for NVIDIA. The company barely grew in its latest quarter, even though they had the data center and client segments, which grew by over 80% each. Overall, the company didn't grow by all that much, just 2% year over year revenue growth. So like I mentioned, revenue only increased by 2% in the latest quarter. Gross profit margin improved by 3 percentage points to 47%. Operating income jumped to $36 million, up from negative $145 million in the same quarter the prior year. As I mentioned, AMD is coming off of a cyclical bottom, recovering, and it's nowhere near the growth of NVIDIA. And investors have been disappointed with AMD not benefiting anywhere near as significantly as NVIDIA has. And so AMD investors are losing patience and wanting the company to go ahead and make some progress in this regard. AMD said that they delivered record data center segment revenue of $2.3 billion, which was up by 80% year over year, driven by both the AMD Instinct GPUs and the fourth generation AMD EPYC CPUs. Investors should look for continued growth in these categories because The AI data center investment from companies like Alphabet and Microsoft and Amazon and others is growing so robustly. The market is growing so robustly. You would expect AMD to benefit. Also, they just launched those new products, which should help facilitate growth for AMD. AMD also announced recent partnerships with Dell Technologies and Supermicro Computer, which have benefited the growth of the AI data center. Dell Technologies and Supermicro Computer help full installations of AI data centers, and partnering with them could help open up a larger market opportunity for AMD. They showcased the early performance of the AI Instinct MI300X systems. So like I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons NVIDIA has this huge advantage against AMD is because of the software, is because of the ecosystem it's built. And so the AMD AI software ecosystem and developing it will help AMD catch up to NVIDIA. And I don't think AMD will get anywhere near NVIDIA, at least anywhere in the next 1 to 3 years, but they can catch up. They can close the gap. And one way to do that is with the software. And so they continue to mature with several key optimizations and additional features in the latest software stack that enable native support for additional generative AI tools and frameworks. So this is going to help. This is a step forward, and I want to hear about management and what they say about the success of this and how it's helping grow sales of the MI300X system. So I want to hear a lot more about this, and I want to hear them get some level of success, some level of traction. Otherwise, investors and myself will lose patience with AMD because they have yet to demonstrate progress on this front. Now, expectations are not that great for AMD. As I mentioned earlier, they've failed to make significant progress, and investors are not expecting that much from AMD when they report quarterly results. They're expecting revenue growth of just 6%. So they grew revenue at 2% in the first quarter, and now investors are expecting a slight uptick. Instead of 2% growth, they're now expecting 6% growth. Not that incredible, right? When the AI market is growing so rapidly, NVIDIA is growing quarterly revenue at rates of 100% and more, you've got AMD expectations of just 6%, with AMD's gross profit margin also expanding slightly to 53%. So expectations are not that great from AMD. Now, that could be a good opportunity for investors. AMD is trading at a forward price to earnings of just 25, which I think is a relatively good value for long-term investors. This is one of those stocks where I feel it could be a good buy before earnings. As you've probably noticed, in most cases, I recommend investors waiting until after earnings to purchase a stock because of the lower risk associated with a post-earnings purchase versus a pre-earnings purchase. But given the very low expectations for AMD coming into the quarter, and given the attractive valuation, and given the markets it operates in, it might be a reasonable idea to purchase AMD stock before earnings. Still, if you want the lower risk, it makes sense to buy after earnings or wait till earnings come out, evaluate the results, and then make a decision after earnings. Either way, I think AMD stock makes a good investment at current valuations, with the expectations being so muted. Did you know that over 90% of the people that watch my channel are not subscribed? It'll really help support my channel if you hit that subscribe button. And oh, by the way, one of the benefits of being subscribed is that I take requests from subscribers more often than I do from non-subscribers. So if you prefer that benefit, please subscribe to the channel.